in a few minutes, so we can start with the presentation.
Anyway, I would like to thank you for your time and for your contribution to the project. We are very excited to hear what you need to say, especially about agro-biodiversity valorization for sustainable vegetable production. And you have around, it's around 20-25 minutes. Well, 30 minutes. We are, I mean, basically in the, in the last day we went to like 40 minutes sometimes, or 50 minutes. But the idea is that we're very pleased that you can tell us your story, your contributions, and then of course by the end of the session, the audience can make a few questions. So the record session will be shared later, I presume, isn't it?
Okay. My presentation is about 20 minutes, so I think that if there is no problem for the online sharing, I think that it will be time to have some discussion after the presentation. Say me when I can start.
Yes, you can start now.
Yes. Yes, okay.
Good morning. I am Maria Gonnella, researcher at ISPA of the National Research Council in Bari. Within RUC-APS, my activity falls in the work package 6 for the aspects of sustainable agriculture. Here I will talk about the valorization of the agro-biodiversity within a sustainable vegetable production. Brief presentation of the group working on agro-biodiversity at ISPA with different skills in agronomy, technological processing, and analytical chemistry. I want to set some keywords for this presentation as a narrative thread, but also as relevant points to take into account for this topic, in my opinion. First, there is agro-biodiversity, of course, intended as a complex of local genotypes of vegetables coming from the selection work done by farmers in a specific cultivation environment. Then, sustainable agriculture as a set of practices and conditions applied to agriculture to give a minor impact to the cultivation system, including choice of genotypes well adapted to the environment. Then, farmers' income, considered a central point, element in the economy of the agricultural activity, especially for small farmers. Value chain of food products, in which primary activity, agriculture, plays a key role. Nutrition, due to the social and economic aspects, should be included in a wider discussion on the value chain of food products. Indeed, I want to emphasize the meaning of agro-biodiversity, not only for sustainable agriculture, but also for nutrition and society. Specifically, referring to the agricultural activity, agro-biodiversity is required for the diversification of the agricultural systems to contrast the loss of biodiversity and to respond to the need for genotypes adapted to local climate conditions. Furthermore, it can be functional to the increase of income for small farmers, especially in marginal areas and regions characterized by a high accentuated pulverization of agricultural activity. Under the point of view of economy and society, agro-biodiversity also plays a relevant role in building a network between farmers, retailers, and consumers or end users based on the promotion of local productions previously characterized. On the other hand, in recent decades, the consumption of food in most European and Mediterranean countries has become increasingly westernized, losing much of the ingredients, healthiness, and cultural heritage of the traditional diet. The results are obesity and metabolic disease, in addition to the loss of cultural knowledge. In this framework, agro-biodiversity can give a response to these points. First, higher availability of healthy and nutrient-rich foods to promote the Mediterranean diet. And then the promotion of knowledge of cultural inheritance of the Mediterranean diet with the ultimate goal of countering the decreasing adherence to the Mediterranean diet model in the Mediterranean countries. Taking care of agro-biodiversity and taking a look at the cultivation of vegetables in Puglia, we find a broad panorama of local traditional vegetables. This great variability has been studied in our group. Within the local biodiversity in Puglia, we have already studied some genotypes, for example, turnip tops, caroselli and barattieri, aquaviva red onion, wild edible leaf species. These studies covered some of the prevalent aspects considered under the agricultural and consumption point of view. Yield and quality of products in relation to the ecosystem, for example, soils, open air, or greenhouse, evaluation of qualitative characters in edible products, organoleptic, nutritional, meteorological aspects, processing methods applied to local biodiversity to obtain, for example, carrot jams with cooked vegetables, dry fennel for colorant, spice, or other uses. Our work also included collaboration with some small, medium companies for the valorization of some typical vegetables in Puglia. An example is stem chicory, locally known as Cicoria Catalonia puntarelle, which is involved in a procedure for requesting a protected geographical indication. Another example is barattiere, an immature melon, typical of Puglia, that is was recently included in a Horizon 2020 project proposed by partnership emerged from RUC-APS, coordinated by the French CATI. The characterization of chicory conducted in our studies has provided a rich set of nutritional and technological information that will be useful for the next valorization as a protected geographical indication and other initiatives, taking into account that stem chicory is already establishing itself as a minimally processed product at the national level. A similar work was applied to the colored carrot Polignano, deeply characterized, and for which some processing methods have been hypothesized. Polignano carrot has been recently elected the slow food presidium, receiving a label as a traditional small-scale production at risk of extinction, which promotes local areas, recovers professions and processing techniques, and saves native vegetable varieties from disappearance. Many presidia producers have adapted this narrative label, which provides detailed information on producers, their farms, the breeding and processing of varieties used, the place of origin, and the methods of cultivation. Polignano carrot is a good example of valorization, since it has gone from the risk of extinction to being appreciated by consumers willing to pay a fair surcharge, as evidenced by the price differences recorded on the market between the common carrot and the Polignano carrot. Tomato is a traditional crop in Puglia that expresses a rich heritage of land races and varieties. Here there are some examples or others. They are all local varieties collected throughout the territory of Puglia. Tomato landraces in Puglia are acquiring ever greater economic importance thanks to the trend to rediscover old local genotypes like the Regina tomato or the Fiaschetto of Torre Guaceto, which received the label of Slow Food Presidium. Several landraces are appreciated for both fresh consumption or processing, or moreover as long storage products, stored as bunches of tomatoes during the winter months. The product was really widespread in southern Italy in past decades, later replaced by cherry tomatoes produced all year round. More recently, longer storage tomatoes are re-evaluated and represent an appreciated niche product. Some old local brassica vegetables and wild species traditionally used as food ingredients are also re-evaluated and subject of research on innovative uses. These species also contribute to enrich the modern diet of healthy foods and to build a strong chain between farmers, retailers and consumers, characterized by high demand for these products, higher prices, and a relationship of trust between farmers and consumers. Returning to the points discussed at the beginning of this presentation, Biodiverso project was a regional project funded by Regione Puglia, whose continuation, is about to be financed. It is well described in this paper within a special issue on biodiversity of vegetable crops published in a dedicated book that is under free downloaded and on this site. And the project was composed of multiple actions of valorization of the agro-biodiversity on a specific territory. These sections are recovery of local varieties, in situ and ex situ conservation of varieties at risk of extinction, building network of farmers and seed savers, agronomic, qualitative and nutritional characterization, recovery and spreading of historical, cultural, and gastronomic notions, building a data set of documents, pictures, maps, video, text, papers. This project is on a regional scale, but could be extended to a multiplicity of marginal territorial spots on a national and European scale. For this purpose, we are trying to propose this method in other project proposals. Something was brought in the Dublin's project that unfortunately was not financed in Horizon 2020, but the working scheme has been extended in another international proposal still in progress. A step forward is to build concerted actions between institutions and associations working on agro-biodiversity at European scale. Reconsidering one of the first points of this presentation, and specifically the influence of the agro-biodiversity value on the society, we have to face with some needs that are presented by the studies on consumers' demand of food products, the studies on consumers' acceptance of traditional products and innovations in traditional products, studies on the relationship between demand and supply, use of instruments such as blockchain to satisfy consumers' need of transparency and information about sustainable production, quality, or other factors, suggest criteria and guidelines for regional national policies to contrast the loss of adherence to the Mediterranean diet in the Mediterranean countries. All these aspects need to involve experts with specific skills in the context of new proposals of research projects. It's all. Thanks for your attention.
Good. We have Okay, I hope that the quality of the presentation was good because I was not sure of connection, online connection from home.
Good morning, Maria.
Good morning. Oh, Nicola.
Good morning. Ciao. Good morning, everyone. The presentation was very, very interesting, and in my opinion, is a very important contribute to enlarge the knowledge of these underutilized crops in Italy, in our region in Italy. My question is this: in your opinion, which species is ready to enter in the large market, national market or international market?
You have to consider that for at the moment there is a large interest on the market for baratiere that has been already introduced on the Dutch market through a link with some local producers, some producers from Puglia, and we found an interesting news on the platform of Flash Plaza regarding this product, and I think that it is already gaining a good interest from an economic point of view, and also for the interest of consumers towards this product, because it is really appreciable for its qualitative characteristics as taste, flavor, and others. And so we, for this reason, we were very interested in this crop for inside the WAPS project that unfortunately, as I said, unfortunately was not announced but I think that it could be promoted in other situations.
Good morning, Maria.
Good morning.
I'm Fernando Ortega from INIA, Chile. We are also working in similar projects in my institution, and in the last decade we have been discussing about in Chile with the government how to register, how to protect the traditional varieties. How is the system in Italy? Do you have any official system to register or to avoid others protecting these traditional varieties?
There are above all some local regional initiatives. For example, they are cared. They are developed by the regional funding through a specific kind of financing for that is taking care of biodiversity, and in biodiversity at a general level, but also in the specific meaning of agro-biodiversity for cultivation, recovery, and maintaining in cultivation of local old local varieties. So the problem is that each region in Italy have a specific action that is autonomous but not coordinated at the national level. But they are very functional for this purpose anyway, because indeed there is a good response on the territorial on the territorial users, and that can be consumers or seed savers or farmers or also companies that are involved in marketing or in processing or other aspects of the chain after the cultivation, and from cultivation onward. So I think that it is very there are some actions very efficient, but it needs a coordination action at the national level, but we hope also at a European level or international level, because something more can be done in concerted actions.
And the traditional way to valorize and to cover this vegetable is to obtain the European label, like denomination of geographic production and so on. This is often a good way to valorize and to save the vegetable typical in the region. Of course, this is a problem not only with legal aspects, but is necessary to support this label with communication methods to improve markets, to inform consumers, and so on. And another aspect, in my opinion, and Maria, I think, is working now on this aspect too, is to study and to prepare new product with high convenience, like fresh cut products, that these new products is possible help all the species to enlarge their diffusion.
Yes, this is an important factor, but because we think that more active knowledge on the consumers from the point of view of consumers or users, generally speaking, is the communication of the characteristics of the product, of intrinsic characteristic, but also the proposal of new available forms, products, more with a high high convenient use of content of use, and so we are working also on processing or cooking products or fresh cut for a lot of the products that we have studied, and the label as the geographical protected geographical indication are also functional for this the purpose of making a more of increasing the knowledge of these products, and because they are usually accompanied by an efficient campaign of promotion of communication. We have in Italy a lot of examples of, for example, the tomato of Pachino, that after the recognition of the label of geographical indication, protected indication, as become a good product, very known in Italy and also abroad. So we think that these are two different ways to promote the local biodiversity, and these small products of little, very very little importance as economic, from the point of view of economic weight, but with a great potential for if we have the objective, the aim of promoting an healthy nutrition, or a higher availability, a higher variability of food for the diet, for a correct diet.
Right. Hello. Well, thank you, Maria, for your presentation. I have, of course, a question, because when you talk about bio-agrodiversity, but also in your presentation, you mentioned about this network building across the actors, to say farmers, producers, seed providers, etc. How this, what is the picture of this network building in Italy in order to support this bio-agrodiversity?
I think that this aspect is very important for vegetable products, generally speaking, not only for local vegetables, but in this case, it has a higher weight, because it's very important to have a strong relationship between all the actors, because it responds to the need of trust of consumers beyond forward farmers, and we see that at least at local level in Puglia, through the actions promoted by the Biodiverso project, there was a high need, requirement, high need of knowledge of a direct relationship with farmers or with the producers, generally speaking, also with the actors that take care of processing or other actions after production, and because consumers needed to know where is what is the origin of the product, how it was cultivated, was produced, and it is important for the as a great effect on the valorization of the local products of because in some circumstances, in some situations, there is a bad worsening of relationship between in regard as regard the products coming from great distribution, and so the consumers wants to know more things about the local productions, more than productions coming from other regions of the world.
Okay, sorry, but so then how the information goes through across the different actors, so then you can support this bio-agrodiversity? You know, how do you communicate that into the different actors?
We have a great response through the communication of through the social means. For example, the project Biodiverso has a page on Facebook that is very successful and a lot of followers for that are composed by consumers or by seed savers or farmers, little farmers or students or all people, because that is creates a good curiosity. I don't know if there is it is the correct words in English, but it is it is very stimulating for the users. And also there is the website that is more complete, that is a kind of data set of all information collected by the project. So we think that these instruments that in this are very useful to assure your communications.
Okay.
To you.
Is there any other question from the audience about this super interesting topic about bio-agrodiversity? Maria Gonnella, what is the current agenda for this? What is the plan for the future? What you're currently doing on this, and what you're planning for the future?
For working?
Yes.
Yes. there are a lot of projects to build for on this topic, but also on others, and I think that we can going on to work on these topics, but obviously we hope that we can come back soon to work on an ordinary scale with our labs, our experimental farm, or in ordinary conditions. Because now we are at home, and so we can write proposals of papers and something also only something like this.
So that is very interesting, because as you work from the experimental point of view, how all this quarantine and lockdown has affected your research, and what do you think that we should consider for the future in order to, prevent all these bottlenecks in our current work?
We have, for the experimental point of view, we have the limit that our studies are often linked to the seasonal limitations. So, for example, the quarantine excluded for us some important central months for experiments under greenhouse, because when we will be able to restart these experiments, it will be probably summer, and there aren't the optimal months for conducting the experimental trials under greenhouse. But apart this argument, I think that the activities of a lot of projects have been slowed, have been or completely stopped. So I think that a lot of projects will need further time to complete the activities that were foreseen for. So.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much for your attention. I fully appreciate all the effort in presenting your work, and I really hope that we can meet each other to see more research possibilities around this area. I just recommend to everybody can keep joining our sessions today. We are having in 2 hours more, we have the presentation of Maria del Mar Alemani with optimization in agriculture, and then 2 hours later about that, we had the presentation from Fernando Ortega from Chile about challenge in breeding in Chile. So you're all welcome to attend, and don't forget to get registered in our website. Therefore, we can manage the attendance certificate for later. So from my side, this is all, and I would like to thank you all for your participation.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you very
Maria.
much. Thanks, Maria.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Nicola.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye, Ina.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.